What if I were to tell you that you can be getting 3 to 5 times as many dates as you currently are from apps like Hinge, Bumble, and Tinder? See, if you're like most guys, you are absolutely wasting your matches, like lighting them on fire and throwing them in the garbage level, wasting them through horrible, horrible messaging. So what I'm gonna do in this video is I'm gonna show you 2 examples of effective messaging that got the date. One of these is gonna be a very complicated example. One of them is gonna be much more straightforward and like what you normally see. And by the way, these principles do work for texting as well as online messaging. And by the way, feel free to copy my exact messages if you like. They are yours to use. All right, let's get into the examples. So we start off this messaging example with the girl liking my photo. And if you follow my sort of curriculum or my methodology for online dating, about half the time, this is what you'll be dealing with. About half your matches will come from boosting your profile and getting these inbound leads. A lot of them will be girls you're not interested in, but some will be girls you are interested in. And about half your matches will typically come from sending roses to the preferred members or just the random, girls you happen to see come across. I don't do a lot of swiping usually because I don't like to waste a lot of time with online dating. So I get a lot of matches of this nature. But anyway, she's liked my photo, but she hasn't given me much to work with, so I have to generate the message. So my first message is, thanks, her name. And by the way, it's always good to thank them for liking you. It's good to acknowledge that they liked you, right? It puts it in the frame that they chose you, they selected you, they gave you the compliment of saying you're good looking, etc. Thanks, her name. You don't seem so bad yourself. So is this the part where we start a whirlwind romance and get married and divorced in record time? Little thinking face. So this is what you call a push-pull in a way, right? I'm talking about getting married, which is very forward, but I'm talking about getting divorced, which is negative. So it is definitely polarizing. It's also clearly man to woman. It's clearly interesting. It's not a boring message like, hey, what's up? Hey, how's your weekend? How's your day? That kind of stuff. It's a message that is easily respondable for the girl because it stands out. So she writes back, my bestie translated it for me, and I understand what you're saying, LOL. Are you from city? Now, clearly she is Latina. She is clearly someone who speaks Spanish. You can tell it visually. You can tell it from certain things in her profile. And so from this, I assume that when she says her friend translated, it means translated from English to Spanish, and now she understands. Now, fortunately for me, I speak Spanish, and this is a huge demonstration of value for me with girls when I'm able to speak Spanish to them. So I go ahead and use that in this particular case. So my next message is, vivo aquí por parte del año y viajo mucho. Creo que español probablemente es mejor para ti. And that means I live here for part of the year, but I travel a lot. It seems like Spanish would be better for you, something like that. Right? It seems like it'd be easier for you to communicate in Spanish. Something along the lines of that is the translation. So I'm basically trying to show off my Spanish skills, trying to show her that I can speak to her in Spanish as well. Because especially if her English isn't very good, if she had to get someone to translate, the fact that I speak Spanish is gonna be a huge benefit in dating me, especially me being a white boy and her not necessarily knowing that I don't have in my profile necessarily that I speak Spanish. It might say like languages you can speak, but it's easy to overlook that. So I'm trying to use this. And usually I get a really positive response to a message like this. But in this case, she writes back, wow, you are so offensive, LMAO, I speak English, I went to college, LOL, OMG, crazy white boy shit. And by the way, in case you're wondering, Douglas is just a name I use on my online dating profile because I don't really want to be Googled as Todd when I'm getting examples for you, right? When I'm putting it out there, putting my photo online, getting examples, I don't really need to be Googled during that process. So Douglas is the name I use on my online dating profile when I'm just, doing experiments. So anyway, this is not necessarily the message I was hoping for back. Wow, you're so offensive. I speak English. I went to college. OMG, crazy white boy shit. But on the plus side, she is clearly investing. So that is generally positive. And I'm actually really confused, right? She said a translation in her message, right? So it's not weird for me to start speaking Spanish. But this girl's gonna be difficult. This girl's gonna be a little bit fiery. And this will happen in texting, this will happen in person, where girls say stuff that just doesn't make sense. Or sometimes, let's say you're in a loud nightclub and the girl says something and you just don't fully hear her. When that's the case, you just have to make the most sense of it you can and write something back that is high value, moves the conversation forward, and doesn't really take too many risks, right? You just wanna keep the conversation going and just kind of like, don't engage with the insanity. Don't engage with crazy. So my message in return, and I think this is an important message in the sort of text sequence here, I say, LOL, you said your friend translated, so I was trying to help you out, laughing, crying. I'm glad you're confident and educated and slightly sassy. So basically I'm justifying, well, I didn't come up with this from nowhere. You said your friend translated, so I'm not the asshole here, right? But I'm also not justifying or making a big deal of it. And the fact that I'm laughing, crying as my emoji here, it's like, I'm finding this hilarious, not I'm trying to justify myself. So that's very important. But equally important is the second part of this message where I'm giving her something else to respond to. I don't want to continue this particular conversational thread. I have to respond to it, but I don't want to continue it. So this part about, I'm glad you're confident, educated, and slightly sassy, this gives her something to respond to. This gives her sort of a tease, something about her, something relevant that she can continue the conversation with. So her message back is just translated white boy eye roll. So basically what she's saying is the translation wasn't English to Spanish or Spanish to English or whatever. It was, I translated your white boyism, your white boy personality. That whole marriage and divorce thing is a very white boy thing to say, which at this point, if anyone's being offensive, it's her. But regardless, it's fine, it's positive, she's still cute, she's still funny. To be honest, I kind of like girls that have a lot of personality, at least they make for interesting dates. So I'm fine with this, let's still move it forward, but she hasn't given me a whole lot to work with. What am I gonna do? So in this case, I do another two-part text. I handle the translation thing and I actually misinterpret it in a way. So here my response is another two-part text. First, I deal with the frame, this whole translation thing, but then secondly, I give something else more positive, more useful to move it forward with, and I introduce a new sort of cocky high-value frame to jumpstart the conversation again. So here's the message. Fortunately, I'm fluent in both white boy and Latina loca, so we won't need a translator on our dates, but we might need a chaperone to protect innocent me from your feminine charms, and then like little angel, like as in like I'm the sweet innocent one, right? So again, deal with this translation thing. I actually point out again the original point that I wanted to make, which is, look, I speak Spanish. So number one, I'm not just a white boy. Number two, I can communicate with you a lot better. And I think that's important in this case to get that across, but again, not in a try hard way. And then this idea of like, I need to be protected from you, right? Flipping the script, taking the frame, taking the idea that she's chasing me. And so she writes back, very good, Douglas, LOL, which is positive. It's a little condescending, but it is at least positive, right? And so I can certainly misinterpret it as a positive at the very least. And at this point, it's an interesting moment in the text because her texts have not been entirely positive, but she's definitely engaging with the banter. She's texting back repeatedly. She's actually texting back relatively quickly, and she's putting effort into her texts, which means she's invested, which means she likes me. So I'm actually gonna take this series of slightly negative sassy responses as a positive response on net because of the level of investment that it took from her. And so I'm going to very subtly kind of hint towards plans on my next text. But I'm gonna start with another misinterpretation first. Here it is. Thanks, I'm glad you approve, so tell me her name. Are you as enjoyable to banter with in person as you are in text? So here I'm asking if she'll qualify. I'm challenging her to qualify. If she qualifies herself to me, that will, number one, be further investment on her part, but number two, it will be the first overt positive acknowledgement in this conversation. I don't want to close without getting at least something overtly positive, because if you do that, you're very likely to get pushback or shit test or something like that. That's what I'm looking for. That is a yes to my qualification. So here I'm going to go ahead and close. At the time, I actually thought about it after sending this text, and I think what I actually should have done is thrown one more message in between. I should have sent another message along the lines of, so what's your view on banter between attractive new friends or something like that, to get this yes more specifically about yes to a date, as opposed to yes, just her qualifying herself. I think that would have been the higher percentage thing. But in this case, I did go straight for the number in the next text, which I don't think is terribly wrong. I think it was only a minor mistake, and it did actually work out just fine in this case. So my message was, I appreciate your confidence. My number is this, what's yours? She writes back number, and then she goes, let me know if you write me because my shit is so hacked. I know how that sounds, which is just fucking nuts also. But again, she's further qualifying herself, and the number did turn out to be all good, as we'll see as we move forward. So we move to the text, and my first message is, hey, her name, it's Douglas from Hinge. Look forward to meeting you soon. Please save this number so you can be appropriately excited to hear from me. Standard message. I've been using this for a very long time in online dating. I actually sometimes even use this in live game. It just gets a good first response. It transitions from the one medium to the other very, very easy, very, very predictably. So it's just useful. So I write this. She goes, hey, will do. I have to get an energy Android, so I'm really sorry if I disappear. It's like some baby reindeer shit. I don't know what's up with her phone, but she's having all kinds of phone issues, I guess. I say it's fine if it's easier to plan our first date through the app. Instead, for technical reasons, I don't mind. In any case, what's your schedule like the next couple days? I'm being a little bit fast with this because I'm only in town for a couple days. But in general, things are positive. I want to move things forward. And so she says her plans, find some money and get an Android, evil eye case, picture. You're a white man, so I know the stalker shit is funny to y'all, but seriously, it's not. Y'all need Jesus. What are you up to? Touching base, taking meetings, LOL. OMG, D, my case slays. This girl's just got some, whatever. She's got some shit going on. But, you know, whatever. She's cute but crazy, and kind of like her life's not in order at the moment. You'll meet a lot of girls like this. Very, very, very common. And if at a certain point, when you're texting a girl, you're like, well, this girl doesn't have her shit together, I'm not interested anymore, completely fine to move on. You will find a lot of girls like this are actually quite cute and sweet and, you know, can be great girlfriends, but some of them are just flat out crazy too. So decision you need to make. But when you're dealing with a lot of just nonsense all over the place texting, the way you want to handle it, if there's 6 different topics in her texting thread, don't try and answer every single one. Guys get into this with like quoting this and answering this and quoting this and answering this, and these very like organized, like threaded texts. No. Just pick the parts that are useful to you and run with it, and leave the rest out. If she wants to bring it back up, she can. And you don't have to engage with every crazy thread she brings up. So she asked what I was doing during the day, so I'm just gonna respond to that part. Say I'm busy during the day, but could possibly find time for a drink and some witty banter in the evening, either today or tomorrow. Which, to be honest, was probably a little bit too forward, but I'm only in town for a couple days. Her texting's all over the place and I don't want to deal with it. And so I was basically at this point like, look, either it's on or it's not on, and we'll see. And she basically didn't respond to this. But what I didn't do is double text or get needy or get desperate. Even though I had a short amount of time, I still kept to good texting principles. And so given a long enough time, she actually re-engaged, because while my text wasn't the greatest, she does like me and she is invested. So she reinitiated with hola. So I say, hola, her name, ¿cuáles son tus planes para el día? What are your plans for today? She goes, hola, disculpa, no tengo el contacto grabado, which means, hi, sorry, I don't have your contact saved, which is fucking ridiculous. But it's also funny. So I'm gonna just go with it as though it's funny. So I write back, LOL, you really do have phone issues. It's Douglas, the cute white boy from Hinge. And so here I'm just assuming she likes me. Like if she doesn't like me and deleted my contact and hates me, it's not gonna go anywhere anyway. So you may as well just assume the most positive thing and run with it. And again, it does seem like she has a phone issue. It does seem like she has something going on. It's quite possible. I'm thinking that like she's using her friend's phone, or like she actually has a boyfriend and she's trying to hide my conversation from him, or who the fuck knows what's going on with her phone situation. But the not having the number saved is actually not that surprising in this particular case, given what else I've seen. So she writes back, Douglas, you better thank God you're not in my area, because I want to beat your ass. Dios mío, that means my God. And the emoji hilarious. You know how many peeps hit me up in Spanish? Most of my family, LMAO. I'm thinking this is it. You would have passed the AP Spanish 4. Don't get all upset. Talk now, or I don't know. I can't think of anything to threaten you with. Okay, so she's just being like nuts. She's like, what the fuck? I didn't know who you were. Whatever. She's whatever. She's exaggerating. She's being a little bit of drama. But I need to take this and center it back into going in a positive direction if this is ever going to go anywhere. Because like both of us can't be crazy. One of us has to be grounded if this is going to go anywhere, if this is going to go well. So she's talking about threatening. So I take that threatening and I roll it into where I want to go. I mean, you could threaten, in quotes, you could threaten me with some drinks and witty banter with a cute but slightly crazy new friend, giving her a little bit of shit. I am flying out of town tomorrow, so this threat is only available to you for a limited time though, and then I put like an alarm clock on it, right? So I'm basically saying, look, like I'm here for a day. If you want to hang out, fine. If you don't want to hang out, fine, whatever. But like, this is the deal. Are we gonna do this? And she goes, como, oh, okay. I didn't know we had a celebrity in the chat, OMG. Like she's taking the idea like I'm being cocky in my frame. She's responding to that. How am I supposed to be ready? I mean, someone of your pimp status should know hoes need at least a month. Now I'm forced to place a hex on you for all of eternity. Kidding, don't waste time on poor unfortunate souls, but my apologies, your holiness. I'm totally kidding, son. Don't get mad. Tranqui, which means be tranquil, calm down, whatever. So basically she's saying like, oh, big shot, only in town for a couple days, whatever. And she's being like false modest and stuff like that, which again, it's a little nuts. It's a little crazy. She's all over the place. The emotional tone of it is very positive. The emotional tone of it is she's responding to my cocky frames. She is writing a lot. Like she wrote almost a full phone screen here. So you have to look at the investment level. You have to look at the tone. And again, she's not saying things that are overtly positive, but the amount of effort she's putting in and the amount of writing she's putting in and the amount of attitude and emotion going on in the text, that's all really positive. So that's what you need to read. If I were to read these all as negative, I'd never escalate. But clearly the girl is investing. Clearly I can move things forward, which is what I'm continually doing here. So I misinterpret again. All right, well, I'm certainly flattered you'd put a month of effort in for me, but I'd rather you just be yourself. And then like a little kissy faces and like, I like you how you are. like kind of cocky. I bet you can be cute and presentable by say 7 or 8 p.m. no problem. As in like, you don't need a month to get ready. You'll be fine. You're cute. So I'm being kind of cute about all this. I'm acknowledging the fact she'd want to impress me. I'm being kind of tongue in cheek about it, right? And keeping the cocky frame. But I'm also saying like, hey, you could be ready by 7 or 8. Don't be ridiculous. She goes, I don't understand what this means, LOL. So you're not from city, yes or no? But the fact that I'm saying I'm flying out of town, now she has a new concern, which is that I'm not from her city, which is valid, right? So I say, yeah, I split time between Miami, New York City, and LA, in Miami now, flying out tomorrow, back in a few weeks, right? So here I'm trying to just say, yeah, I do spend a lot of time in Miami. I'm not here all the time. I do fly around, but I do spend a lot of time. It is, if you look at my boot camp schedule, it's a city I go back to a lot. I spend a decent amount of time there. So it's not like I'm never in Miami. She goes, why? So where are you from? So now this is starting to get very logical, right? And in a way, this is good, because she was all over the place and emotional before, and now she's actually like zeroing in on, oh shit, I am very possibly gonna make plans with this guy. Is this guy a real dating candidate, et cetera. She's getting a little more serious. And this, in this case, is a good sign that she's buying in, a good sign that she's really thinking about making plans with me. So what I like to do when I get long questions or difficult questions in text is I like to switch to a phone call. I'm much better on a phone call. Usually if I can get a girl on a phone call, I'm gonna get a date. And so I wanna take this opportunity of her texting me a lot of questions as like, hey, why don't I just answer these questions for you on a call? It'll be simpler. So I say, should I just call you so you can interview me in real time, LOL? But for your specific question, I was born in Colorado, but I haven't lived there since high school. And she goes, I'm on FT, right? So I'm on FaceTime, right? So she's saying, yes, let's do the call. So at the time when I got this, I was actually out at lunch with a friend and my phone was almost dead. So I plugged it into charge behind the bar at the restaurant we were at. And then I didn't actually get her message in real time. Normally I would just pick up and call her right then and there, but obviously I couldn't because I didn't get the message until later. So once I did get the message, I wrote back, was out to lunch, can call you in a few minutes if you're still around. And she says, sure. So at that point I picked up the phone, we did the call, made the plans over the phone, and we were all good from there, all right? So kind of a long, complicated route to get to the phone call and to get to planning the date and figuring everything out, etc. And this girl, it's funny because she actually is smart and educated, but she kind of just gets away with being all over the place and being unlogical and being unreasonable with guys because she is pretty cute. And I think because the type of guy that goes for her, like she probably gets a lot of like medium high caliber guys going for her. She probably doesn't get like, you know, celebrities and star athletes and like billionaires going for her. She gets a lot of attractive alpha male types. And so she has a game style that is very much around shit tests, around giving them shit and seeing if they're the real deal because they're acting cocky, and a little bit around like protecting her from guys who are players, right? So that explains a lot of the kind of craziness. And like I said, girls that have a lot of crazy texting like this, sometimes they are just flat out crazy, but a lot of times they just get away with just being crazy and silly and stupid in text. And that's actually kind of a way to screen out guys and see who can handle it, who can't handle it, who's actually committed enough to make an effort, that kind of thing. And so you can't necessarily assume a few crazy texts mean that she's actually crazy. Once I actually talked to her, she's like, actually, like she said in her text, she's actually college educated. She was actually relatively grounded. Her life is in disorder, but it was actually due to some circumstances that weren't entirely her fault. It was due to some medical and family shit that had happened and stuff like that. So in any case, ended up being a very sweet girl, ended up being a nice phone call, and ended up moving things forward. So that's how you deal with all over the place, kind of not straightforward craziness in text. You have to misinterpret, pick out the good parts. You have to kind of keep bringing it back so it moves into a direction, but at the same time, you have to maintain your frame throughout. So that last breakdown for a lot of guys will be incredibly educational, because so often when girls go a little off the rails or they write something that doesn't make sense or it's a little crazy or a little shit testy, that's when guys just kind of lose it in text and they don't know what to do, and it just starts to unravel. That messaging sequence could also be demoralizing for a lot of people who's like, oh my God, you have to do all that to get a date? No, you don't. Most of the time when you're getting dates from online game, it doesn't have to take that much effort or that many texts. Most of them are very straightforward. So what I'm gonna show you now is a breakdown of an extremely typical example. This is what a lot more of your actual examples will look like. Again, it doesn't take messages and crazy wizard tricks and shit like that. It's just solid, good messaging for a few messages and you get a date. So in this case, again, the girl liked my photo. That's how it started. And again, I sent largely the same message. It's, thanks, your name, you don't seem so bad yourself. So is this the part where we start a whirlwind romance and get married and divorced in record time? In fact, that might be literally the exact same message with the names changed as the last one. So we started with the same exact sequence. She liked my photo, I sent this stock standard message. Here though, her answer is a lot more kind of straightforward. It's crying, laughing, you got it, exclamation. Now, this doesn't give me a lot to work with, but it is entirely positive. So here I'm in a situation where the conversation is good, but all the existing threads are closed. So I need to do something that opens a new, interesting conversational thread she can respond to. That's the main criteria for this next message. Having it be from a cocky friend would be good. Having it be man to woman would be good. But the most important thing is that there's an open conversational thread that she can respond to continue the conversation. So I write, I appreciate your spontaneity. So shall we start booking the wedding venue, or would you prefer a drink and some witty banter while we get to know each other first, right? And this is a, heads I win, tails I win kind of thing. She says, let's start booking the wedding. I can start like teasing around booking the wedding and what we're gonna do and eventually lead to a date. If she says, we should grab a drink and get to know each other before we get married, well, obviously my actual end goal is a drink and get to know each other. So this is a nice kind of like false choice in kind of a funny, flirty way. And it's hypothetical. It's all through this lens that like this like marriage divorce thing is gonna happen. And so when you're playing role play, when you're playing hypothetical, you can do a lot more flirty stuff without as much risk and get away with a lot more within the frame of role play than you can from the frame of being serious. And her next message here is, we can meet for dinner and drinks tonight. So as you can see, this was a lot easier than the last one. It was literally the same first message, a more positive response. I misinterpreted the response, sent one more kind of leading message. She jumped on that and led. And this is what a lot of your online dating messages will look like if your messages are good. See, the girl is online to meet someone and go on a date. She liked your profile already. In this case, she liked my photo before I even messaged her. So she already has kind of, in a way, made the first move. In a way, she's invested, she likes me. From there, the main thing you have to do is not be boring and not fuck it up. So 2 messages of being interesting and not fucking it up is all it takes for her to be like, let's do dinner and drinks tonight, right? Again, she's on there to meet a guy and go on a date. That's what she wants to do. If you just have a couple good messages and get out of your own way, a lot of them will look like this. And a lot more of my online messaging looks like this than looks like the last one. But it is important to learn how to deal with the last one because that is very common as well. And if you learn how to deal with that, these easy ones will just cake. So those are 2 successful online dating examples that you can look at, you can learn from. Again, you can even steal my lines. Again, in both these cases, I literally used the first opening line. So feel free to steal my opening line. Do be aware that if every guy who watches my channel steals that line at the same time, there may be a number of guys in your city using it, but a month or 2 from now, it might not be burnt again, right? It might be good again. And even beyond stealing the exact opening line, steal the ideas of the opening line. Steal the cocky frame, steal the idea of leading, steal the fact that you're making it man to woman and using role plays to move things forward, and steal the concept. Steal the idea that when a girl messages you 10 different things, you can pick out the best one and respond to that. You don't need to respond to everything. Or take the idea that when the girl is responding with this off the rails stuff, you can have a 2-part message. One part brings it back to reality and one part adds something or moves the conversation forward. So there's a lot you can learn from this. Apply it to your texts so you can get more dates right away. And by the way, if you enjoyed this texting breakdown, if you enjoyed seeing how I actually do it, you should check out my course, Online Dating Academy, where I have dozens of these text breakdowns, including going all the way to the date and showing you how I do the dates themselves as well. So I would recommend checking that out. We'll put a link in the description and on screen as well. Hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you on the next video. Take care.